Are we live? Hello, hello, hello. Can't see anything. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devils Experience. How you all doing? Hope everybody is doing well and good. We have João Neves. Big updates on João Neves. Big player. This is a very popular guy in the fan base. A lot of people want him. I want him. We're going to get into it. We got some big updates that came out today that follow on top of what Fabrizio Romano said a couple weeks ago. So this is very interesting. We got also updates on Amrabat, Johnny Evans, a couple other players like Brantwaite, the center back position, and a slight update on the manager situation. And we're still obviously waiting for a decision that we have not gotten, but we will get into all of that. So I'm glad to have you all here. Welcome, and let's get straight into it. So as you can see, today, coming out of Ebola via Sport Witness, and for those of you that don't know what Ebola is a Portuguese news outlet. They are pretty much credible. There's one that's better, and it's called Record. That's probably like the top tier Portuguese. This is probably, I would say, Ebola is probably the second. Sometimes they put some BS out there, but sometimes they put some good stuff. I got a couple Portuguese friends, so I'm very familiar with Ebola. I'm very familiar with Record. And the Portuguese news and outlets. And I was actually talking to a Benfica fan today. The other one's a Sporting fan, and the other one's a Porto. So I'm pretty tapped into the Portuguese side. So as you can see, the first update we got today was Manchester United are pushing for João Neves and are expected to make a new offer to try and secure his signature. Obviously, it was reported a couple days ago, if not a week or so, that Manchester United had Jorge Mendes, who is the agent of João Neves here. He has a good relationship with Manchester United. He's Portuguese. He has a good relationship with Benfica. He went to Benfica with an offer of about 51 million for João Neves. That offer was turned down by Benfica, saying that they want their 120 million release clause. There is potential that there can be a deal struck for less than the release clause, but they are going to want a high fee. It's looking probably somewhere in the region of anywhere between 75 to 85 million. Now, I understand that is a high fee. It's something we spoke about on this show. It's something that we've talked about that, I've said personally, I don't think that we would see a transfer over 60 million coming from INEOS. Now, this kid is absolutely fantastic. I think he is probably in the top five in terms of a midfield prospect in and around his age. I think João Neves is top quality. Obviously, Jude Bellingham is top quality. Kobe Mainoo is top quality. I think he fits in the top five. Those are definitely three of them for me, in my opinion. They're very, very good players, and I would like to see João Neves come. I think he would be an excellent fit into the midfield. I think he would be absolutely fantastic. Speaking to my Benfica friend, they didn't have the greatest season in terms of Benfica standards this past season. They were quite let down by the way things turned out. But he told me, João Neves is easily the best player on the team. He literally carries their squad. He's the only one that tries. He's the only one that gives a crap. And it seems pretty similar to the situation of like Kobe Mainoo, that the kid just came in to the first team, kind of took over the responsibility, the role, put the club on his shoulders, and was just performing week in, week out. So I think, in terms of what this kid could offer, it would definitely be fantastic, in my opinion. I would love to see him come. It's actually probably a dream signing for me, in terms of that, because the fee is so high. I kind of thought that it wasn't going to be possible, but if we can do this deal, I will be absolutely ecstatic. if INEOS can get this deal done somehow and it doesn't impact the rest of the transfer window in terms of we're sacrificing too much of a budget on one player, if they can do it, and it doesn't have that impact, then 100% go for it. Because if we had 300 million transfer budget, for me, he would be on the top list of the targets. He would be one through three. Definitely number one in the midfield for me. For sure. But then we have some more updates. So following that, it was stated, and this is all different sources, so you can see that, you know, it's not just from one source. It's usually better when there's different sources. So this is from CM Journal, which they said Manchester United have made an approach for João Neves. United are seriously committed to signing the Portuguese midfielder. Benfica have made it known that he will only be sold for a very big fee if there's an offer below his 120 million release clause. So Benfica are tough negotiators. Benfica, they are strong negotiators. They usually get the fee that they want. They usually get the club that is trying to purchase their player to hit the release clause. But it seems like there is a little bit of wiggle room for INEOS and Manchester United here, where we might not necessarily have to hit the 120 million release clause. We can possibly get him for maybe 75 million plus. Maybe it'll be 20 million less and it'll only be 100, depending on, I guess, you know, how the payments are going to go. The payment structure. Now, I assume INEOS would look to do the payment structure in a way of, you know, a structured deal like everybody else does, where they pay it over time. But maybe Benfica want some type of money up front. And then they would be willing to let him go for below the 120 million release clause. We need more updates, obviously. So, you know, we have to wait and see. But we do have a couple more things that are privy to this. So following that, the United Musketeers, who have been very credible for a long time, they have good sources into Manchester United. They put out their own update saying João Neves to Manchester United links are genuine. United want to keep pushing on the deal, but the issue is whether Benfica are willing to accept a reasonable price. So again, the price is definitely certainly the issue here. It is not, you know, this is not just speculation. Manchester United are very interested in João Neves, and Benfica are not 100% against letting João Neves leave, but they want their price, and INEOS obviously are going to try and bring that price down. Now, again, the thing about this is that there might be some wiggle room. This deal could break down easily. It could break down easily because I know Benfica, they are stubborn. And nothing against them. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but they are stubborn. They stick to their rules and their plans, and they're very prideful in not getting poached and not getting screwed over. And when somebody comes in for one of their players, they demand the fee that they believe they are respected to get from their players. And they always hold out for the highest possible transfer fee. I mean, you can see that in multiple deals. They did it with Darwin Nunez. They did it with Gonzalo Ramos. They did it with, and they're doing it with João Neves. They've done it with a couple. They've done it with basically all their players. Any top prospect that they have. I'm sure they'll do it with Antonio Silva, if clubs do go for him, because he is also, I think, a highly rated player that they have, and they have a couple more players there as well. But yeah. I think it's this could break down very easily, but I hope it doesn't, and I hope there is a way that we can come to some sort of a deal or something, because this signing, and if this was the first signing or the second signing, the transfer window for Manchester United is then definitely off after being at a start, like a snail start. It's off to the races, because we also do have updates on center backs, and it looks like increasingly we might be able to get one done fairly quickly, and we're going to get on to that in a little bit after we finish this update. Now, more updates on this was that this came from Academy Scoop, saying that both INEOS relationship with João Neves' agent, who is Jorge Mendes, as I mentioned before, and Manchester United's relationship with Benfica is strong. We have a good relationship with Benfica. George Mendes has a good relationship with Manchester United and Benfica. So there's a lot of positives that are going on right now surrounding this deal. The only bad thing and the only negative or the potential breakdown would be the price for the player. That is the only negative that is in this deal right now that can break this deal down. But otherwise, there's a lot of good factors and a lot of positive things that, Manchester United have playing to their hand right now. And United's recruitment team have followed Neves for over a year. So we've been scouting him for over a year, with scouts regularly in attendance at his games, which I have seen those updates throughout the year. They have been there quite a lot, watching him quite a lot, which I'm very, very highly encouraged about because we do scout a lot of players. We are interested in a lot of players. We are linked to a lot of players. And we watch a lot of players. In fact, there is an argument to be made that Manchester United's scouting department is over bloated and we are spread far too wide and far too thin, which leads to a lot of transfer talk that is never, realistic or was never really a thing that was going to happen. It's just more of a rumor because Manchester United, they watch a lot of players, they scout a lot of players, but they were never seriously in for them. This doesn't seem like it's the case. This seems like, Manchester United are definitely serious about this player. They like João Neves a lot. And if they can get the deal done, they will 100% and go for it. And I think it's an absolutely fantastic deal. I mean, if you're going to bring him in, right, and you're talking about a rebuild, young player, probably one of the top talents, as I mentioned already, right? And, you're bringing him in to replace Casemiro, essentially. The midfield of João Neves, Kobe Mainoo, and a Bruno Fernandes, and then we also have Mason Mount, potentially Amrabat, because we got to get onto that as well, because Amrabat might be staying. I think that's a good balance in the midfield. Good balance, fresh young legs, something to prove, something to play for. They're going to be hungry. It's certainly going to be a little bit of a change, to what we're used to. Hey Ray, it's good to see you. How you doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a change. And I'm here for this direction. If INEOS can start doing this, they can definitely get some positives going, for themselves because it hasn't been great. Potentially, but especially with what they've been doing with the managers situation, they've been catching a lot of flack. Fans are not happy that we're kind of moving kind of slow right now. We already lost out on Torsen from Fulham, who is a free agent. Chelsea have stepped up their pursuit in Elise, so we might lose him. And United fans were very excited about Elise. So we might not get him. He might end up going to Chelsea. So fans were getting very upset, and rightfully so. Sadiq's in here. Sadiq, good to see you. Sadiq saying I would give Amrabat a new deal at United. But we have a small little update on that, and we'll get to that. Let's finish the João Neves thing, right? What do you think about João Neves, though? Do you have any opinions on him? You like him? You think it's a good buy? You think it's too expensive? It's gonna cost anywhere from here we go. Here's the update, and then you could give your thoughts on it if you want. Manchester United is set to make an improved proposal because, as I said, we already made a proposal, and it was around 51 million. Benfica turned it down because that was far too cheap, and I think Manchester United knew it was probably far too cheap. But again, when you do negotiations, when you do business, the selling club is always going to ask for the highest price and the buying club is always going to ask for the lowest price. And then hopefully there's always grounds to kind of somewhere meet in the middle and make a good negotiation. It's just standard business. That's how these things go. But Manchester United is set to make an improved proposal for João Neves. It's believed United could raise their offer to 75 million euros, which is 63.9 million pounds for the player, while also adding in a string of add-ons that could take the fee near 85 million euros to 72.4 million mark. Now, that's actually interesting. I still think that that's probably going to get rejected. I would be surprised if Benfica actually accept that offer. solely for the fact that, as I've already mentioned, Benfica are a very strong team when it comes to negotiations. They are very stubborn and they do not bend. They like to hold out. It's the reason why they put the release clauses on their players so high, because back in the day the Portuguese league used to get absolutely raided and they used to get absolutely ripped off for their talent. I mean, they have some fantastic players that come out of Portugal. And they used to go for absolutely nothing. I mean, even the Bruno Fernandes deal, there's a lot of arguments that, how did we get him for the price we did? I think it was like 45 or 50 million. If that was a English player, you would never get him for that price. It would be impossible. If it was a top talent from Spain, you probably wouldn't get him for that price either. Benfica have really gone the route of trying to protect themselves and their players and to get the fair value because, even though the Portuguese league is not considered a top 5 league, Benfica, Porto, and Sporting, they pride themselves on competing at the highest level in European football in the Champions League. And when their clubs get rated, for players like João Neves, who is probably one of the top prospects in Europe right now, it does hurt them because, they have to get paid at least in some sort of way. So I think maybe the 85 million might look good, but that is in euros. They might want a little bit more. They might want 85 plus add-ons as a starting base. And maybe I could see that being done there, where it could potentially rise even further. Because that would be closer to their buyout clause. And they're not ones to really accept, no buyout clause. I wouldn't even be surprised if they came out and they said, listen, absolutely not. Buyout clause or nothing. I wouldn't be surprised if this does come out. But yeah, I think I know these prices are a little bit high for what we were speaking on. But this kid is let's put it this way. If Real Madrid didn't have the midfield that they already have, they would probably be looking at this kid to add him in there. And if they don't, and if it's not this season, because obviously they already made some, they got Mbappe and they had some significant, added value to their squad recently in Bellingham and all that stuff. If it wouldn't be this season, I wouldn't be surprised if Madrid would end up going for João Neves next season if he did stay at Benfica because he is that good of a player. He is excellent player. It is. I'm very excited by this. I hope that this doesn't break down. I want this to happen. I really want this player. I think he's an excellent player. I think it would be an excellent signing. My only concerns is obviously the fee, and I hope that, if INEOS are doing this deal, that we do not do the mistakes of the past of Manchester United, where we literally throw all our budget onto one player, and then we kind of suffer in all the other areas that we have to do. If we can do this deal and then the other transfer targets that we have are okay and we don't have to go into like 3rd and 4th and 5th choice options, then I am all for this and I don't even really care about the fee. I was more concerned about the fees because the reported budget wasn't as big, so it's hard to see how you can spend a fee like this on one player and then still go and get another 3 or 4 transfer targets. Maybe 1 or 2 center backs. Definitely need a striker. A left back is probably needed 100%. So, what's the chat saying? Chat is saying, Ray is saying, I think if we get Neves, they're going to sell Bruno. That's what I think. No, they don't play in the same position though. But I mean, maybe to fund it, you're saying that could be maybe a thing. And that is a possibility because at the end of the day, we do have Mason Mount. So Mason Mount could take over Bruno's position. And then, maybe João Neves just slots into that midfield with Kobe Manu and Bruno ends up going. I hope not. I want Bruno to stay. I don't think Bruno should go. I think Bruno is one of our important players. I think Bruno, he gets a lot of flack for whining on the pitch and stuff, but I still think out of that group of players, there's only so many that have the mentality of wanting to win and giving 100% always in every single match for 90 minutes plus. I don't even think we have an abundance of that, so I wouldn't want to see him go. Plus, he's the captain, you know what I mean? So I would definitely stay or try and keep Bruno Fernandes for sure. Ray also saying I agree on Amrabat as a team player. Yeah, I think Amrabat. I think he showed his qualities, and to be fair for Amrabat, I know he didn't start well in the beginning. Um, and he picked it up at the end. But he did come from the Serie A. It's a slower league. He's a little bit slow, and we have to remember when these players come from outside of different leagues. Some players they manage to click like that, and it's easy for them. Some players they struggle, and it takes them about a season. And maybe that's what we saw at the end for Amrabat, that it did take him quite some time to adjust, and he did adjust properly, and he took his time while he wasn't playing to learn and improve and all that stuff. And then there's some players that they just never get it, but Amrabat, what he showed at the end of the season, he did show that there are those qualities that are definitely useful, that we can definitely use. He was definitely strong. He was an anchor in the team. And it was definitely good to have him in the squad. He was definitely, you know, much needed. We needed an anchor like that, a wrecking ball, just somebody to come in there and break up the play and be tough. And he was showing that. So, Sadiq is saying I would give Bruno a new contract too. Yeah, there's also, there was also speculation about that, this, it might just be that Bruno is looking for a new contract. And that's why there's all this kind of speculation and talk about his future, is that he kind of does want a new contract, and maybe INEOS are a little bit reluctant to give him a new contract, because INEOS are very heavily worried about the wages. They're looking to cut all the wages across the board and anywhere that they can. Obviously, players that have signed new deals when they weren't there's not much they can really do about it at the moment in time. But obviously, when that comes, I'm sure they're going to address it, which is why we've seen the likes of Varane going out the door. Casemiro seems like he's gone and out the door as well. So it is definitely something to pay attention to. I hope Bruno Fernandes stays. I really do. I want him to stay, but we will see. Axe Lord is in here. Axe Lord, it's good to see you. And Abebe is in here as well. Good to see you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. Axe Lord is saying to the community, he's saying its correct value is 85 million plus 10 million in add-ons. Benfica is looking for 100 million plus 10 million in add-ons. To be honest, I believe United will make a mistake and pay around 95 million plus add-ons. LOL. I mean, yeah, it's tough. We've been down this road before. Again, a young player. The only difference is, in terms of these other players, like, listen, Anthony, that we paid that fee, that was a huge mistake. I was never convinced about that. I didn't think, I didn't think it was ever going to live up to the hype, even Jadon Sancho and Harry Maguire, right? But I'm telling you, and I'm not really for these types of transfers, but I'm telling you that this kid is really good. Like, he is special. Like him and Mano are, like, I see them almost about the same. You know what I mean? Like, I see them on the same level. Their games are slightly different, but the way they handle themselves at the age that they handle themselves, the way they play and what they add to their teams respectively, I see them almost the same. So the way I pictured them, just like, it's almost like we'll have two Kobe Mainus. Like, it's just like, just think of like adding another Kobe Mainu in there with a slightly different play style, but just as good, with the amount of potential. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I see this transfer. So I understand that the fee is going to be probably high. But again, this is one of those players that I kind of feel like you can make an exception for. The only thing is that obviously he's playing in the Portuguese league. The Premier League is a stronger, faster, physical league. And it could be a worry because of the guys playing in the midfield. It's a very important place to be playing. You need to be up for it playing in that midfield. This is the engine of your team. If you have a shit midfield, your team is screwed. So, that might be the only concern, but I still don't think that's going to happen to him. I think the kid is an absolute talent. And I think we would be very, very good going forward if we got him. And then we have to, the only thing, like we've talked about previously, do player sales and raise the funds. and there's a lot of players before Bruno that can go, and we can raise a lot of fees for. Chow is here. Chow, good to have you. I think this is the first time you've been in here, so I appreciate you getting involved. I'm gonna get to you in a second. Abebe was saying I need Thomas Tuchel and Ederson, Joao Felix, Todibo, Kirkez, Theo Hernandez, Joao Neves, Salise, and Amrabat live to United. Well, that's quite a transfer list, buddy. That would be an absolutely. I mean, I don't know about the Tuchel thing. I'm not 100% on Tuchel, but all the players you listed, that would be quite a transfer window for Manchester United. So, yeah. And all of them are pretty good players too. I mean, Theo Hernandez is fantastic. João Neves and Edison and Joao Felix. They're all top quality. But yeah, that would be something. But I don't think that's gonna happen. But we could always keep dreaming, right? Ray saying we have to keep Erik ten Hag safe. The 10 million, give him some backing. Will give him some backing first. Chow is saying the British media made me feel sick when they turned on their attention on Kobe. We're going to talk about that. And Saka, disgusting behavior. Absolutely, Chow. I'm there 100% agreeing with you. It is disgusting. It is to be expected, though. It is to be expected, unfortunately. That's how these things go. But it's unacceptable. We don't have to accept it, even though it is expected. But definitely we're gonna talk about it, and I'm glad that I seen a lot of United fans stand up on social media to that. The journalist that kind of spearheaded the whole thing, and the outlet that spearheaded the whole thing, they kind of have caught a lot of flack. One of them, has been absolutely just done by people. They've pulled up old stuff from their social media. Not good looks for them at all. And we will talk about that for sure. But we have a few more updates on other players and stuff that we're going to get into before we get to that. But yes, thank you for your contribution, Chow. Glad to have you in here. And I hope you become a part of the community and subscribe. We're always going live and we're always having these great, fantastic chats. So, Ray's saying they have to make a decision about Erik ten Hag and get some momentum going. The British media pump players up and then turn them down and crucify them. Absolutely, they always do it. Erik ten Hag said the same thing, and we're gonna get on to that. Axelord saying Neves and Hernandez would be like 150 million. Absolutely, that would. It would probably be more. Hernandez would probably go for more than that, and because I think João Neves is close to the 100 million already. It would probably be close to 200 million. So there's no way that that's going to happen. But João Neves, I'm 100% here for, and I will 100% go in. I would go in for that. I would do that deal. If I was in charge, I would do the deal, and I would try and get the best price possible. Anything under the 120 million release clause, preferably under 100 million, would be fantastic. And I would try to do something like how they was saying, give them a fee of some sort, and then add in a bunch of performance-based incentives, and do the same thing with his contract and wage. Don't give him a super high wage. Make it performance-based, make it merit-based, like how it should be. And he comes to Manchester United, and he performs in a Manchester United shirt, and he does absolutely fantastic for the club. He deserves his money. And he deserves to get paid, and he deserves all his bonuses and all that good stuff. That's something that INEOS needs to stop. Just because players are fantastic for a different club doesn't mean that we have to give them 300,000 a week before they've even touched the Manchester United kid. It's sometimes that's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how we ever went down that path. Obviously, it was for commercialism and all that, but that needs to be stopped. That needs to be cut out 100%. Shao saying, we need two midfielders. Wolves, João Gomez is one of my options. Yeah. I mean, we need a lot of positions. That's the problem. And it's like, because there's a lot of, we probably need two center backs. And then, two midfielders, right? That's 4 players. We need a left back and we need a striker. And the striker is before, it's probably like center back, CDM, striker. Those are probably top 3 in my opinion, because there's no way we can go into next season again with without a striker, and it needs to be an experienced striker. So we're probably going to pay a decent fee for that. Um, you know, so I think you would go with one midfielder, one center back, a striker. Then it would come, and then you would probably have to go and get the left back because Luke Shaw ain't gonna survive, right? Richard's here. Richard, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Luke Shaw ain't gonna make it. He always gets injured every single season, right? As good as I think he is, and I like him, I don't know if that necessarily means you sell him, you move him on, or whatever. But we need some type of a left back. So maybe a Kirkez, like a young guy, right? And then we'll just have three solid options, or whatever, 2.5 or 2. And then if we have any funds left over after we do some player transfers, then maybe we can go in for a second central midfielder or something. Obviously, some people would want to see a winger. You know what I mean? Some people might want another winger. A lot of people want Anthony to go. I don't think Anthony's going to go just solely because of the whole situation. Also, we have to get rid of Sancho. So listen, it's a difficult... INEOS don't have an easy job. It's a difficult job. It's a difficult situation, and none of this is going to be fixed and optimal and ready to go in this one season. The whole point, or this one transfer window, I'm sorry, but the whole point is that Manchester United, INEOS need to try and make the best possible they can do in this window, so that when January comes around, maybe we sneak a deal or two, and then the next summer, we'll be in a better position, and then, we should be pretty well off and pretty much better than where we are currently. But, it's going to take definitely 2 to 3 or 4 transfer windows to get this sorted, but they have to be, that's the point, they have to be optimal transfer windows. They have to be good transfer windows. We cannot slack. We cannot make huge mistakes in these transfer windows. They have to be basically almost perfect transfer windows going forward if we want to get to where we want to see the club. Hold on, because I'm missing some of the chat. Richard Hawkins wants Garrett for a striker. Yeah, he's definitely still an option. But I don't think we've really hit that road yet. We seem to be focusing on center backs and the midfield option right now. But I'm sure when we get to that road, there's going to be a lot of talk about the strikers because it's definitely an important position. Axlord is saying he wants one DM, one left back, one striker, and keep Bruno. Yeah, I'm pretty much there with you. And for sure, definitely keep Bruno. I don't even want to talk about that because I just don't think, it's for me, it's a no-brainer. For me, it's a no-brainer. The guy, listen, he is, in my opinion, the best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. He has had the biggest impact at Manchester United, and he does the most, he does the most on the team. He creates the most chances. He makes the plays. We saw that little period when he wasn't there, because he was out injured for those 2 matches or something. We didn't look the same. We looked quite a lot more awful. And obviously there is a Mason Mount, but Mason Mount hasn't been reliable, and we don't know how reliable he is going to go forward. He was injured for most of the season and kept getting injuries, and he's not the only one, but it is still a concern. The guy did have surgery before we purchased him he had it at Chelsea, and then we went in for him, you know what I mean? So, and I'm pretty sure the fan base is united on that. Like, nobody wants Bruno Fernandes to go. There might be a small selection of people, but absolutely, I'm convinced, the majority of the United fan base around the world does not want to see Bruno Fernandes, leave Manchester United. We have, if I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize because I suck with names. But Don, is it Raul? 07. Do United need Neves when they have 2 youngsters in Odeyeli and Collier coming through with a possible permanent Amrabat deal? Well, I get your point there. But so for me, Odeyeli and Collier are in all due respects, and I'm not saying that they can't be good players, and I'm not saying that they can't be, fantastic or anything like that, or that they can't play in the first team or whatever. But João Neves is like levels and miles above them at this point in time. I don't think that those guys would be ready to start. João Neves could literally just come into the team and start. I believe he is that good of a player. He would literally he would literally be able to start in that team. He would literally walk into this midfield at this current moment in time, and I don't think you could say that for those youngsters. But it's also a plus though, because we have those youngsters, and they can also come through, and that can save us going, in the future. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, João Neves is young, and we have more youngsters coming through, like you mentioned. So, and Amrabat is there. But we don't know. You could switch between Amrabat and Neves too as well. It's totally different. Axel was saying buy Neves, loan a striker with a buy option for next summer, loan a left wing back until Almas comes on. I mean, we might have to do something like that in that way. I don't think I don't know about loaning the striker. If we could get a good deal, like for a good player, and we can loan him in with an option to buy, then 100%. Those deals are a little, they're not too normal. They're not too, like, they don't happen too frequently. But if it's available, yeah, why not? But if anything worse comes to worse, I would probably be there with you on just loaning in the left back, since we technically have two. And then there is Almas, of course. So maybe we just loan in the left back and actually keep him for the full season instead of sending him back halfway through January like we did with Reguilon. Because we could have used Reguilon. We could have definitely used Reguilon, and that was obviously a mistake on a bunch of different parts. Medical staff, all sorts of things. So, but yeah, these aren't bad ideas and these aren't bad things. You guys are saying some good stuff, and definitely, these are plausible things that, we could see. Joao is saying Shaw needs to go, time to move on. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, see, I get conflicted about Shaw because, like, I understand that because he's injury prone. And literally he is injury prone, and I'm not one of those guys that is going to sit here and make fun of his weight or any of that stuff. I think that's ridiculous to do to somebody. But he has literally been injured every single season since he's come to this club, and I know he suffered a horrible injury, where he had to have surgery and stuff. But still, it's like when he's available and he plays, he's good. Like, he provides value on the pitch. But the problem is his availability, because you're going to lose him at some point during the season, and you never know how long it's going to be. Sometimes it's not that long, sometimes it's very long, and it's like, well, we need you, man. We need you in there, dude. And in terms of football, like, if you're looking at a football decision, a lot of people say that, the best I forgot the saying, but basically availability is the greatest thing you could ask for, right? And he doesn't necessarily have that. Like, he has good talent and he provides on the pitch for us when he is, but he is not 100% reliable, and therefore it is a tough decision. Like, I could see why people want him to go and move on because of that, but at the same time, I'm like, he does provide some good value when he is available for us. But that left back situation is a little bit tricky, but I don't know. I'm still a little bit undecided on it. Damn, the chat is moving today. I am struggling to keep up. Richard wants Bremer. Doesn't want to let Bruno go at the moment. Bruno is Manchester United. Axlord is saying we also have another good centre mid in the academy. I don't remember the name. Grace is here. Grace Sheridan, welcome. You said, I thought Neves is a number 8 like Mano. He's kind of similar. He's similar in that respect, but I think he's a slightly better defensive wise. He can kind of almost play like the anchor. I've seen him play like that. I've seen him, put in performances like that. He can put in some tackles and stuff. He's not like a traditional. He's almost like a ball playing CDM. Like, he's not a traditional, like he's not like an Amrabat, where Amrabat is almost just like a drop back, sit back, and just kind of destroy everything. He has skill. He can make plays, he can go forward, but he can also play in that holding role. So I think that's why, like, that kid has versatility to his game. Like that's what I see from Mano. Like Mano can do a little bit of everything. Obviously, he's stronger in some parts of his game than he is in others, and he needs to develop a little bit more in certain aspects of his game. But he's obviously only a kid, so it is what it is. But yeah, like I kind of see Mano like that too. He's a little bit of an all arounder. He kind of does a little bit of everything, right? And that's kind of how I see João Neves. I don't think we necessarily need just a dude that just sits there. I would actually like the versatility. I would like the guy that can go forward, can ping some passes, can put the tackles in, can do it. It's basically a jack of all trades. I would like that. That's kind of where my head is for that. Richard saying we need an experienced CM for the incoming season. All right. Valid. We also have Gore. Yeah, but Gore suffered a bad injury, right? Not that he's finished from that, but he's gonna be set back from that, which I hope he he already had the surgery, and I hope he recovers quickly as possible and as best as possible, because that just sucks. Injuries to players, especially youngsters, is always tough, and you never want them to see. You never want to see somebody get affected and have their career ruined. It's it's really sad. It's like getting robbed when that happens. So I hope Gore recovers, because he's gonna be out for quite some time. But nice little segue, and thank you to everybody that smashed the like button for me. If you haven't, please smash the like button. It helps us out, and I greatly appreciate if you're enjoying this content. Please subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already. We go live quite a bit, and we're going to be doing so this summer transfer window. We're going to be keeping up with all the transfer news, and then obviously when the new season starts, we will be here doing match recaps and all that good stuff. So if you want to be a part of the community, we welcome you. And get involved in the live chat. Grace is saying, I just don't want us to push too many players forward because we will just get counted. Well, that comes with the tactics, right? And the understanding from players. But I think, and also it depends who's going to be the manager, because we don't even know. We don't even know the manager. Right now it's still technically Erik ten Hag, but we're not 100% sure. It could be a different manager. We could be playing a different way, a different style. That is to be seen. But I get what you're saying, Grace. I get what you're saying. But really, that shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't be an issue. If we play the football that we're supposed to play, if we play good football and we look after the ball and we have the quality to keep the ball and keep the possession and not give it away cheaply, pushing too far forward shouldn't necessarily be a problem like that. The problem that we suffer currently is that we don't look after the ball good enough. So when we do push forward, we don't have the players really with that ability to play in that style. But when we do that, we lose the ball and we get caught out. Because we give the ball away very, very, very cheaply, which is an issue. Which is why if we get, some better high quality players that fit the system a little bit better or a little bit more, I wouldn't even fear too much about that, because we should be able to keep the ball. We should be able to make, better passes, quicker passes, and be a lot more dangerous and clinical and be in the opponent's half a lot more and not lose the ball so much. Anthony... you guys challenge me with these names, man. I'm bad with names, but Anthony Okonkwo. I hope I pronounced that right. The price, the price on Neves is too dangerous. Is too outrageous. But if we can get a cheaper deal, Neves will ball. But otherwise, Fofana will do just perfect. I mean, listen, we might have to move on to another target. It is very high fee, and I understand that, and I understand people that maybe wouldn't want the transfer because of the high transfer fee. I mean, it is something that kind of goes against what I've been saying, the past couple months. I even predicted that we wouldn't see a fee over 60 million from INEOS because of the budget. But for me, out of all the people that we've been linked to so far and that we have, that's been reported that we are interested in, this one guy is the only guy that I would be willing to make the exception for. He is the only guy. because I think he is that good. Honestly, I do believe in this kid a lot, and I like him a lot. So, now obviously, I don't want us to pay 120 million. If you can get it for less, then absolutely. And again, also number one factor, it depends. Like if I was in there, if I was on the inside, and they told me, well, if we sign João Neves for 85 million euros or 72 million pounds, or if it's 90 or whatever, our transfer budget's going to be significantly depleted. We're not going to be able to really go and get, maybe beyond one or two more positions. We're really going to struggle. It's going to, we might have to go for third or fourth choice options. Then I would have to turn it down and be like, that's not the best option for the club. But if that's not the case and they can get him, then do the deal. That's kind of where I'm trying to say I'm at, Excellent. Excellent just remembered about the manager. What is going on with INEOS? Yeah, I know. They still haven't made a decision. We're going to get on to that. There was a slight update. We have a couple more updates. Also, aren't Neves and a left-footed ball-playing defender Ten Hag's wishes? I mean, that was something they reported, that they were still working on transfers with Erik Ten Hag. And they might still go forward with some of the players that he wants, even if he does end up not being the manager. Rashad, it's good to see you in here. No, not left-footed center back. Well, we need one. We need not left-footed. Well, we need a left-footed to back up Martinez, right? But we need somebody to replace Varane. So Grace is saying I watch a YouTuber who is a Benfica fan, and he says he's a box-to-box midfielder, very raw player. We are paying for potential 100%. Most of these deals are always for potential, but he is still in terms of what he is for his age, he is still good quality. You know what I mean? He is still good quality, but anytime you go for young players like this, a lot of the times the potential is usually factored into the deal. And but that's a fair point that you bring up. Like, I'm not saying he's like that good that he is currently worth 85 million, but he has the potential to go past that, in my opinion. But some of that fee is obviously a potential is included in that fee. He is not currently an 85 million or 72 million pound player. He is good quality, though, I would argue. I mean, Manchester United, I think they offered 51 million. And if you weren't paying for potential, it would probably be somewhere around there, 50 to 60 maybe. Just for, the current market and the prices and all that good stuff. But yeah, and he is sort of like a box to box, but like that's what I was saying. He's kind of like a jack of all trades. He could do a little bit all. But I think also, if you had to put him in that position where you told him to kind of sit back a little bit more, he could do that job, I believe. From what I've seen from him. Who's in there? Edmund Tobin, good to see you. Hit the like, lads. Yes, smash the like button for me. Thank you. You guys are going good. Yeah, I'm glad everybody's getting involved in the chat. If you haven't gotten involved, get involved. We're having a great discussion here. So I got a couple more updates, so let's get on to that. So, speaking of center backs, this was from Court Offside. I think this came out yesterday, but we're going to speak about it today anyway. So Manchester United have set aside apparently about 45 million for a center back this summer. And on the list for 3 key targets is Jean-Claire Todibo, Gonzalo Inacio, and Lenny Joao are 3 key targets for the position. So, this is something that is perfect for what we were talking about, because we also need, a center back, like we mentioned. I think these 3 candidates are very good. They're different in terms of Todibo is a little bit older than the other 2, but not by that much. But he's probably the more kind of experienced one. Inacio is kind of somewhere in the middle, and Joao is kind of like the young guy. So it's like 3 different levels of players that you got here, right? Now I haven't seen too much of Joao. I haven't watched Joao. So I can't say how good Joao is. I've heard things about him. People are very excited by Euro, right? Stephanie's in here. Good to see you, Stephanie. Thank you. Yes, we have a lot of people in here today, and I'm very happy about it. So, it's good. It's good to see people in here watching and paying attention and getting involved. Absolutely, some new faces. Very very happy. But Euro. I haven't seen Euro, so I can't really say how good Euro is. I'm not gonna pretend like it. When I know a player, I know a player, and I'll tell you and I'll give you my opinion about him. When I don't know a player, I will I won't pretend like I do because I just can't. It's not about me, right? So but I've heard good things about Euro. I know he's young. I know he is considered a top prospect for his age. In that position. Um, you know, but in terms of I'm more fairly familiar with Inacio. Um, and actually, I was speaking to one of my sporting friends, and he actually thinks that Inacio has the higher ceiling than Diomande, who is their other center back, who we were also linked with. And he was telling me that he was like, if I were you guys, I would go for Inacio over Diomande. Um, it was like, especially because Diomande also plays in the he's from Ivory Coast, so he plays in the African Cup of Nations. So he was like, it's not like the worst thing, but he was like, you do end up losing him in the middle of the season every two years, So he's like, with Inacio, you don't have to deal with that. Portuguese will fit in with Delo, fit in with Bruno. And then maybe João Neves as well. We could have like half a Portuguese team going here by this time. And then obviously Jean-Claire Todibo, who's been linked with Manchester United since like last year. And I don't know if we're ever going to get him because we just keep getting linked to him. And it never seems like it never seems like the deal actually progresses, but it's just always like Todibo is an option. Like, I don't know. Like, are we ever actually going to make a formal deal for him? I mean, I feel like this summer would be the summer, considering INEOS literally own the club he plays for and Manchester United. So, like, I don't see how the deal can't not get done. And obviously he would be very willing to come to Manchester United. So, I don't know how it couldn't be. But, do you guys have any preference out of those three? That you would want to see. Richard saying Euro's age worries me for what we need. That is a good point. Because we do need somebody to basically step in, be the starter and take over for Varane and partner Martinez. Euro is young. And he's going to be, going from one league to another league. And that could always be a challenge. We've seen that with many players. And like we said before, you know what I mean? We've seen that before. Like, some players, they come in, they click right away, they take it by storm, and they have no problem. Other players, they come in and they struggle. It takes them a season, maybe even 2 seasons, and sometimes they just never get it at all. And they just never get good in that league. And then sometimes they end up going to a different league and they perform perfectly well. It happens. It happens, but it is definitely kind of a risk to go that young and put everything in that area of the pitch, because of the lack of options as well. I guess it depends on what we do with Maguire, and Lindelof, right? Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say as good as Maguire had of a season before he got injured and all that. I do not want to see like Maguire become back into the starting to start with Martinez. I think, if Maguire's going to stay, be a squad player like he did. I think he did very good. He was very solid and very reliable. And when he came in, he did. I would personally move him on. I would cash in on him. He's 30. And I would kind of look for somebody else. I would also cash in on Lindelof. But again, these things are all situational. It all depends what happens at the club. Obviously, we could all have our opinions and what we think we should happen, but we never know. You guys are saying Euro get Rajat wants Euro. He's saying he's a good center back. Rajat wants Nuno Mendes from PSG. To be honest, he is great. Yeah, but I don't think that would happen. Even though he is good. But I don't think they want to let him go. And he would be fairly expensive as well. Um, Rajat saying not sure Man United targeting him, Anthony. Oh, on Inacio. Yeah, that was the update, right? They're saying that he's part of that. Joao and Inacio. So Anthony wants two. Yeah. Well, it seems like we only have one right now, and then it's gonna depend on player sales probably. That seems like where it's going based off of this. I don't know. I guess we just have to see what happens. Stephanie's saying, how long before United have INEOS on our shirts? I'm surprised they didn't go down that route quite immediately. Because we are getting Snapdragon, right? And I believe that's more down of the Glazers Avenue, right? I believe that's down the Glazers Avenue. Because they're really in charge of the commercial aspects still. Even though there's somehow Joel Glazer is somehow still involved with some type of a football decision. I think he's being involved with the manager's decision, which wasn't supposed to be the case when first reported because he wasn't supposed to have a say on football matters. But maybe when it comes to the manager or something like that, he does. And then in terms of like signing players or something like that, maybe he doesn't. But Rajat saying Man United probably have Qualcomm. No, we have next season we have Snapdragon is going to be they're already one of our brand partnerships. The Snapdragon will be on the kits next season and probably the season after as well. United and Snapdragon seem to have a very good relationship, so that might be a thing that stays there for a couple years. But we'll see. But yeah, Anthony's asking a question. He's saying, question. He's like, what's the right price to sign João Neves if you were to agree to his signing? Good question. I like that question. It's a little bit difficult off the top of my head. And I would probably say around these fees here that are up on the screen that they stated. Probably. Just because of knowing Benfica, and how they operate, I would say that if you can get him for these fees, I still think that's a good deal because to get the best player at Benfica that they consider the best player, like if the fans and whatever, they never want to sell their players for less than the release clause, and they always put the release clause like 100 million, 120 million. So, but again, remember these prices are in euros, so it depends what fee you want to pay. I mean, 63.9 million pounds or 72 million pounds or euros. So like, it is what it is. But I would think one of these I don't think is actually necessarily bad. But then again, it also depends on the information that we're not 100% privy to. It depends what is the actual budget and then what impact would that signing have on the rest of our window, right? Because if it derails the entire rest of our window and now we're signing fifth choice players, then that's not a good signing and you shouldn't do that deal. But if we can do that deal because we have the funds and we have a plan to raise more funds and get the players that are number one, number two on our list, then I'm totally fine with it. Grace is saying Rajat's leaving us. Oh wait. Rajat's saying Mag's gotta go. I thought you said mate gotta go. Okay, no, yeah, Matt Maguire's gotta go. Yeah, okay. Grace is saying INEOS should never be on our shirts. They need to leave. All right, so Grace is a firm INEOS outer. Okay, all right. Nothing wrong with that. Listen, I wasn't for them. I wanted Qatar, but I'm willing to give them a chance. Obviously there's nothing you can really do other than protest and voice your opinion. But let's, I'm still here. I still want to see what they do. And if you want them out and you don't want them here, that's perfectly fine. That's okay. I get it. I get it. Rajat saying Mags and Lindelof gotta go at least one because they are both 30 and above. Yeah. Well, I think Lindelof is the one that's more likely to go. Where I would be, right, is where I would be. Yeah, yeah. You could Grace. You can join Axlord. Axlord is he's here again. He's not a fan of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and that. So we're getting the gang together now. Apparently, we're growing. We're growing. There's a rat plague growing inside the community right now. um, Man United is going to use funds to keep Amrabat on a permanent deal or get João Neves off Benfica. Axlord saying that he believes João Neves 85 million pounds plus 10 million add-ons. This is the right price for Neves. Benfica wants 100 million plus 10 million in add-ons. They would prefer the 120 million buyout clause. They understand that that's a little high. They put that high on purpose so they could probably negotiate to what you're saying there, Axlord, in the 100 million plus 10 million in add-ons. But yeah, I agree with you there. I'm on the same page as you. 85 million plus 10 million in add-ons, performance-based add-ons. I don't see a problem with ever putting in performance-based add-ons. That means the player is doing well for you. It was a good buy. He is producing for your club, and you pay a little bit extra. You know what I mean? But we have more updates, so don't go anywhere. So small little update. Some people might be happy about this, some people might not be. But small little update. Apparently, Manchester United have offered Johnny Evans a new contract. So we will have at least Johnny Evans as a backup to whatever situation we have at the center back position. Now, I am not against this. I've actually asked for this. There might be some people out there and be like, oh, the standards on the floor. You want to keep a guy that's 36. So, it's embarrassing, blah, 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 or whatever. Listen, for me, he was extremely solid for his age, right? He came in, he surprised the crap out of me. I thought he was going to be awful. I was picturing before the season started, I was picturing Maguire and Evans playing together and getting absolutely dusted. And, we got absolutely embarrassed and destroyed in like a match or something like that, just solely because of the pace. And funnily enough, Maguire had a good season and Johnny Evans had a good season as well. So, that's how, I guess, when you judge a book by its cover or something like that, along those lines, right? I am not against Johnny Evans is on a low wage. I'm not against Johnny Evans getting another 1-year contract and we have him as a backup. Emergency backup. There's nothing wrong with that. He's on a low wage. He gets the club, right? He has the mentality, and he was fairly solid. And we need depth anyway, because we've seen what happens when we're in an injury crisis. And there's no guarantees that, we're all hoping and we all think that we won't see an injury crisis like the one we just had, but we don't know that. We could have one that's worse. I hope we don't, but we could have one that's even worse. We could have one that's the same level. So I think, keeping Johnny Evans, the way he performed and, what he gave us, and he's on a low wage and he's pretty solid. I'm not against that. I have nothing against Johnny Evans. I think Johnny Evans is a great guy. And I think he gets the club. He gets the club. So, it's totally fine. Totally fine that he's there. It's not something to be embarrassed about. Johnny Evans isn't going to be our starting center back. They're not saying we're keeping Johnny Evans and not signing a center back. So it's not like that. So, and that's probably some of the things you might see on social media, because social media is crazy. Anthony's saying if we could get Fofana, he brings a balance of experience and power plus ball control to our midfield, and give Amrabat a new deal. Well, we do have updates somewhere about that, which actually is right here. So I will bring it in. And this might be a little bit blurry on your screen. So if it is, I apologize, but I will read it out and this was the only small update that we got so far on Amrabat that said Manchester United are yet to rule out the possibility of activating the option to sign Sofian Amrabat on a permanent deal, with the decision likely to be delayed until after the club have finalized Erik ten Hag's future. So, it is still a possibility that Amrabat stays. That was literally the only little piece that we got on this, so it is not ruled out. They have not made a decision, and they can go for it at any time. I'm going to open it up to the chat, as some of you have already said that you would want to keep Amrabat. Anybody else want to get involved? Let me know what you think. Amrabat, yes or no? If I can figure out how to make a poll, I would actually probably do that, because we could have a decent vote going on. Let me see if I can do this. Engage, start a poll. Keep Amrabat. Keep Amrabat. Alright, there's a poll there. Vote. Everybody vote. Are we keeping Amrabat? What are we saying? Get involved. Yes or no? Yes or no? Would you keep Amrabat, or would you not keep Amrabat? Would you let him go back to Fiorentina? Vote in there. And then let me get back to where I was. Okay. So, okay. Chat was saying, Evan's new contract, INEOS out. Grace, I like Grace. She's very, strongly opinionated. Fits right in. Absolutely. Just says it how it is. Doesn't hold back, you know, and very strongly opinionated about INEOS. That's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. As long as you keep it respectable, that's all we care about. You can have any opinion you want, but just keep it respectable, and that's all that matters, right? So, where were we? Ray's saying, keep dreaming. We not buying anyone with a high price. This is how deflection for Erik ten Hag issue. I mean, maybe, but, you know, if that's INEOS's plan, it's not really going to work too well, because at the end of the day, the people that don't want him to go aren't, if they get rid of him, it's not like they're going to be happy, or you know what I mean? Like, when it happens, like, they're still going to be pissed. So, like, you know, if INEOS is doing all this delaying and all this stuff because they're trying to, like, weasel their way out of the backlash of it happening, right? It's not really going to work, because it's not like the people that want Ten Hag to stay are just going to suddenly change their mind because it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or because of João Neves. Like, you know, and, you know, even if they sign João Neves, and they sack Ten Hag, like, people are still going to be pissed at them that they sacked Erik ten Hag. It's not going to change people's minds. It might change some people's minds. But no, they will still receive the backlash that they're gonna get. Chat is here going crazy. Rajat saying Bruno has got experience, Delo has got experience, Onana has experience, somewhat Leach has experience. No need to sign Johnny again. Okay. Richard saying, I have a strange feeling we are going to be disappointed with this window. I hope not, Richard. I hope not. We can't really afford it. Whoever they get, they need to fit the project. They need to fit the club. They need to add quality, because we are behind. And if they screw this window up, we're going to be even further behind. You know, and we just can't afford to be doing that anymore. You know, otherwise it's going to take forever. It really is, to get back to where we want to be. Axel is saying, one injury crisis, that would be worse. Winning championship in 2 seasons time. Yeah, Rajab, we want quality from depth, as in quality, not by numbers. So get rid of Johnny. You don't like Johnny? Rashad is Johnny Evans out. We have a very diverse group of people here, which is actually awesome. I love that. Because I don't want everybody to think the same way. So this is great. A lot of different opinions. This is what it's all about. Richard saying Fofana's not a bad shout. Where else? Stephanie Stephanie is saying, noticed Amrabat story from Manchester Evening News. Time Marshall works for Luckhurst. Yeah, it does, right? It does. Or he does. Yeah. Yeah, but his Luckhurst didn't put it out because he's afraid of the backlash. He's afraid. There was some media there was some media attacking going on, and I don't think Luckhurst wanted to poke his head out today. I think he was trying to stay under there. He sent out one of his cronies to put out the news for him, so he didn't get the backlash. Rajah would say keep Amrabat, which I can't even see like what the poll is on. Oh, because I didn't vote. Now it's doing this thing. All right, just get rid of that. Oh no. I closed the chat. We've lost the chat. All right, I got the chat here. 88% of people have voted yes to keeping Amrabat. Okay, that's a very high thing, which I kind of expected that anyway. Well, I don't know if I would expect it to be that high. But yeah, I kind of got that sentiment, And where was I? Lost in the chat. Keep Amrabat. A lot of you guys saying keep Amrabat. Grace is saying if INEOS want to save money, just bring back Phil Jones and Ashley Young. Let's have free shooting. No, don't give them ideas, Grace. Don't give them ideas. That sounds awful. Don't give them ideas. They might be listening. You never know. You never know. Don't do that. I mean, at that point, we might as well bring back Mike Smalling. As Louis Van Gaal once famously said, right? Well, the Mike Smalling instead of Chris. Yeah. No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. We have to stop. We have to stop that. Stephanie's saying, does INEOS stand for an intention, no extravagant overpriced signings? That's just for grace. Richard's saying, I don't understand that. I don't understand that Johnny was great for us last season. Amrabat, Neves, Kobe, Mount, Bruno. Colin's in here. Colin, good to see you getting involved in here. Colin, Groot Boom. Amrabat, Neves, Kobe, Manu, Mount, Bruno, and Scott should be our midfield next season. That sounds like a very solid midfield to me. I don't know about Scott, right? I would have maybe a disagreement with you there on Scott. He is not one of my favorites. And I would probably look to move him on if there was a deal to be made. But anyway, if we did have that midfield, still sounds like a pretty solid midfield to me. We might need one. Well, we do have some youngsters, so maybe we could bring them too. I kind of feel like, if we lose one or two for injuries, then we're looking kind of light in that department. It just, I don't know. You guys are doing great right now. Just the discussion is flying. I'm loving it. Let me see. Let me get back to what. Because I got a couple more things, and I don't want this thing to run on too long, which it probably already has, because I suck at doing the timing thing. I get too involved in the chat, and I start going crazy with the discussions, because I love it. We had these updates here that involve Branthwaite, which I'm sure is going to cause a whole nother thing going on in the chat. So this was Manchester United Chiefs are now expecting to complete a deal for Jared Branthwaite before June 30th, with Everton attempting to hold out for a £75 million fee. And then a Luckhurst crony, Ty Marshall from Men, as stated previously, went on and they came up with their own update saying Manchester United are interested in Jared Branthwaite, but won't be held to ransom if Everton seek a quick deal. Everton are attempting to hold out for $75 million, so that's double confirmation there, fee for the defender, and could seek to sell him before June 30th. United are in a delicate position around the PSR and have a number of other centre-backs on their list of targets, including Juventus, Gleason Bremer, and Bayern Leverkusen's Tapsoba. So Bremer being thrown in there, Tapsoba also now being thrown into the mix on top of Tadibo. and Inacio and Euro. So the list for center backs is very quite extensive, actually. And I think we have some very, very good options there. Richard is big on Bremer. He wants Bremer for sure. He's been saying that for quite some time now. So for Richard's sake, hopefully we get Bremer because it would be good. What do you guys think about that update though? That because see, but this is why a lot of the things is very conflicting. They come in and they say we're looking at João Neves for this price that's on this screen, right? But then they're saying because of PSR, United don't want or are not looking at Brantwaite really because Everton wants 75 million and we're worried about PSR. Is that because we're looking to do this deal? So we can only do one of them? Or is it because we actually can't do a PSR? We can't do a deal of that high because of PSR. Therefore, that this deal is basically dead. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes the shit just don't make sense or just don't add up. And then it's like you have to start piecing together puzzles that probably doesn't even go together or exist. Really, So, what are you guys saying though? Let me see. I gotta pull up the chat. I accidentally deleted my chat and I don't know how to get it back in OBS. So I gotta go in over here. Grace is saying Scott is a National League North player. Damn. Grace is a savage. Grace is an absolute savage. We are Manchester United. Get rid of these rubbish players. I want to win the league and Champions League within the next 25 years. Well, all right. I mean, yeah. I get where you're coming from, Grace. I get where you're coming from. I understand. And we do need to move on some of these players, we do need to move on. But Brantwaite is see this is the thing that I was trying to say before about João Neves and Brantwaite. While Brantwaite I think is a good player, right? He's Premier League proven. I don't think I actually don't think he would hit like 75 million. In terms of like performances. But I think João Neves can hit his price tag at some point. Like I actually think that João Neves could hit whatever price tag what it would end up being. I think João Neves would hit that. Or come close to it. If he doesn't hit it. Or it could go beyond it. Brantwaite, I'm not convinced that he would hit. I'm not convinced that we would get into a place where Brantwaite would be so good that another club would be willing to pay 80 plus million for Brantwaite. And that's where my difference is on the players. And this is why I was trying to say I didn't necessarily think that INEOS would try and do one of these deals because I didn't think that we can necessarily afford it. But I don't know. We have two stories, right, of two different players in two different positions that basically contradict each other because they're saying that we can't get Brantwaite because of the PSR, but we're looking to sign Neves for 72.4 million. And that doesn't affect PSR for us. Now, either one is total bullshit or they both go together because they prioritized and said, this guy is worth that money, so we're going for him, and we're not going to do the other deal for that price because we can't. Because then it would be way too much. And maybe that's what they decided to do. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not sitting here saying I got like any sources or anything like that. I don't know. I'm just a regular fan like the rest of you. Oh my god. We had something else that I needed to get to that I didn't get to. And I believe that it is this piece right here. This guy this guy right here, his name up on the screen. The things that I've seen that have come out about Kobbie Mainoo in the past day and a half, I am not here for. Absolutely not here for. And I knew it was gonna come. I knew it was gonna come because it always does, and they always do this shit. And especially to a Manchester United player, a kid, a young black kid, one that has basically done no wrong all season, one that is already absolutely very much loved by Manchester United fans around the world, basically the entire fan base. And he is very, he's a respectful kid, stable kid. And the hit pieces, as soon as he's gone to England already, they have already come out. Every person that is against United, types of questionable, disgusting things, in my opinion, that you can do to a kid. And this was Jakob Steinberg at Wembley after yesterday's, shit England performance against Iceland. And then INEOS won Gareth Southgate. That I don't understand either. But, and he proceeded by basically saying that Kobbie Mainoo allowed Iceland to move through the midfield too easily before their goal, and he lacks physicality and noise, right? And gave him a 4, and then proceeded to go into Declan Rice players rating, and then continue to further blame Kobbie Mainoo for Declan Rice's performance. I mean, if you're not a total jackass, tell me you're a total jackass without telling me you're a total jackass. And you do exactly what Jakob Steinberg has done here. I mean, he literally has said, needs a more disciplined partner than Mainoo. England were too open, expect Conor Gallagher to return. He didn't even review Declan Rice's performance and then proceeded to give him a 5. And all he did was blame Kobbie Mainoo. Now, this might be a little bit sensitive. So maybe viewer discretion advised slightly. But I don't think I put it in here. I didn't put it in there. Okay. But to this point, Erik ten Hag said before Kobbie went to international duty, he said about Kobbie Mainoo, Erik ten Hag, on the praise of Kobbie Mainoo is getting, he said, we have to keep it calm because you guys in England know how to push players and then hammer them when they have a bad game. This is exactly what Ten Hag was talking about. And just to show you again, it wasn't even just, the first guy. It was the Telegraph and Jay Burt at Telegraph also put out this article and said, does Mainoo possess the defensive discipline to play the number 6 role? Completely, totally uncalled for to even put that out. It was like they literally came out and tried to blame this kid for England's whole shit performance. Like it had nothing to do with Gareth Southgate being a bad manager, and it had nothing to do with any of the other players on the pitch. It was all Kobbie Mainoo. It was all about Kobbie Mainoo. It had to be Kobbie Mainoo. And some of the things that I seen other people saying that I didn't even put on here because I didn't want to, but like it's just clear indication of racism. And it's like they don't even try to hide it better, I guess, or whatever. But it's just like it's just, you can tell like there's an agenda against the player for numerous reasons. And then you don't go after other players, and it's like, why? It's one's on United, one's black, and the other one is white. So, it's almost blatant racism. At this point, and I'm not one of these people I'm gonna tell you, I'm not one of these people that, looks at shit and screams racism this and racism that and everything is racism. But when I see shit like that, it's almost pretty fucking clear. Some of, not that specifically, but some of the shit that I seen. I think they even went at after Saka. And we've seen incidents like this before. They did it to Rashford, they did it to Sancho, they did it to Saka after the Euro. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that things like this still happen. They don't deserve it. They're just footballers trying to play for their country. It's a big honor to represent their country. They're proud to do it, and then they get ripped up and torn down and by their own fellow countrymen. And it's what I wanted to say though was I was happy that I seen United fans come out and absolutely back Kobbie Mainoo, and we need to do this. We need to protect our player. Sometimes we are, not as good as doing that as other clubs. But the amount of support that I've seen just on social media of people literally coming out and literally backing Kobbie Mainoo just in support and showing him support was really, really high. And it was very encouraging to see. So I'm happy that the fan base has stood up for one of our players. We need to do this more often. And we need to keep doing it. And not just for Kobbie Mainoo, but basically all of our players. I've always stood with the point of, it's okay for us to criticize our players. It's okay to go to a certain point with our players because it's our players and it's our club. But what we should do more as a fan base is really protect our players from the outside. Even if we don't think they are the best players or maybe they aren't that good. But when other people from outside the club are really having a go or doing something that's really uncalled for against one of our players, I feel like our fan base needs to step up a little bit more. We actually just got an update that might be breaking, so let me see. So Fabrizio Romano has just been stated in the last literally 30 seconds. Intense weekend behind the scenes at Manchester United regarding the future of Erik ten Hag. Many things are happening behind the scenes. He is not safe, remains a 50-50 situation as of today. That is from Fabrizio Romano right now. If you want, I will literally bring it up on the screen so you can see it. I don't know if there's something that's going to follow this, but that is the update that we just received right now from Fabrizio Romano. It is literally just came out like 2 seconds ago. And as soon as I figure out how to bring it on here, I will bring it on here. And I will put it in the João Neves tab, I guess. So here you could see the update. This is the update that just came out. It literally was just posted online. And it is quoted from Fabrizio Romano. So I'm sorry if I'm missing the chat, but I'm going to just keep my eye on this real quick because I feel like something should follow. Luke Shaw has made some comments. All right, I haven't seen anything yet, so we will keep an eye out for that. But I'm gonna get back into the comments because I've been missing your comments. I'm gonna read out some of that. Okay, so where are we? Stephanie was saying 25 votes, but only 18 likes. Yeah, what's up with that? Come on, we could do better than that. We smash the like button. We gotta get more likes than votes, or at least the same amount. Rajad saying Mainoo growing centre mid. Rajad saying media hate Man United weirdly. Nah, it's not weirdly. They always did. Stephanie saying media muppets pick on easy targets. They should focus on Kane missing a sitter, but don't wonder why. And Stephanie quite rightly angry about that. And then Kobbie, Stephanie also saying Kobbie will be okay, has composure on and off the pitch, but it's not the point. Well said, Eric. Yeah, well, here's that's exactly, like, I'm not even too fearful about Kobbie because, like you said, Stephanie, like, Kobbie does have composure on and off the pitch. I think his background helps him a lot. I think his family helps him a lot, like his upbringing and where he's come from. It's just something about the way he carries himself. I don't worry from that aspect of like, whatever they come out and attack him with, or whatever they say. I don't think it's going to affect him in that manner like it might do to some other people. It's more of just the principle. Really, I'm not too worried about Kobe. I think Kobe has a good head on his shoulders. We've seen that. He shows it to you on the pitch. And we still do have to still protect him as much as possible, because that's the least he deserves, right? But it's more of just the principle. Ray's going. I think Ray left us, so if Ray's still here, Ray, we'll catch you on the next one. It was good to see you. Axe Lord saying, bunch of expletives. Why is it 50-50? What is unclear? Dude, I don't know. If I could answer that for you, I would, buddy. I would. I would love to know what they're actually discussing here for. Anthony's came back into the chat saying, if we can, we should do a double swap deal for Benfica for João Neves and Antonio Silva for a combined fee of 130 million. And then Stephanie's saying even the great Fab doesn't know. Well, that's the thing. And then Grace coming in and saying, just make a decision. I've never had so much to say since these Muppets came to my club. Well, here's the thing. For me, at least, right? I said this like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. I've lost track now for how long this is. But there was a lot of talk that it was already decided, he was sacked, it was gonna happen. Then they were like, they changed their mind, they're not gonna sack him because he won the FA Cup and all this nonsense. And I've always stated that the only thing that I was willing to take at face value was that they always said, from a certain period of time, well before the FA Cup, that they would do an end of season review when the season was over. They always said that, and that's what it seems like they are doing. Everything else is pure speculation, because there's been people that are saying he's sacked, it was over, we're getting the decision this week, we're getting the decision next week. Then it was absolute quietness because nobody had any updates, and it was just because they haven't made an actual decision. So nobody knows shit. Nobody knows shit. Right? And the only way we're going to know shit is when they finally decide and tell everybody. And that's why it's going to come like a volcano. It's going to erupt like a volcano. Because nobody knows anything. It's a bunch of speculation. And when they do make the decision, all of the news and all the information will come out because they will tell literally everybody. And that's it. But it is a frustrating situation because the fan base doesn't want to be dealing with this shit. Basically, the majority of us would keep him anyway. So we don't see the point of this 3-week long after the season's over season review for the manager, when we would much rather be focusing on the player recruitment, which we all believe is a fairly significant thing that the club has to deal with and get correct, than Eric Ten Hag. It's just, it's a really annoying thing because it's like it's almost holding the club up in pause. Luckily, we did get some updates that obviously we went through today. But that was really some of the first significant pieces of news that we've had in this week. I mean, there was times, I think it was like Monday to Wednesday, or even from last weekend, that it was almost kind of pretty much dead. There was like no news. It was like radio silence, and I was getting concerned because I was like, there's no news at all. There's barely been an update. And I'm like, it's very strange. It's not like Manchester United. What's going on in the chat here? Richard saying, yeah, but the decision should not be based on one game. I don't think it's based on one game. I don't believe it is, and I think that's why it's probably taken longer than everybody would like. I don't think it is, and I think they are I think as annoying it is, and I because I'm not in there, right? So I try to be fair, and I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, unless we're privy to some other information. Um, but I just think that they are doing the most thoroughest job of evaluating all options, and information that they could possibly do, which is why it's taking them so long to make this decision. Um, and obviously we're getting pissed off about it, but from their standpoint, they're just doing their job or whatever they think is the correct job to do, right? We're obviously going to have a different opinion and viewpoint on it because we're fans, and we are entitled to anyway. So it is what it is. But I don't think I like all that nonsense of like, because that's what a lot of the journalists or people were saying, like, they're basing it off of one game. It's off of one game. I don't think it was ever off of one game. I think they were always going to do this review, whether he won or lost. A lot of people just think that he would have been sacked the day after if we lost. But we don't 100% know that. We don't. Nobody knows. It's kind of like when Kanye did that speech. I don't know if anybody of you like seen that, but when Kanye actually won the award and he went up there and he said, a lot of you would have wondered what I would have done if I didn't win this award. And then he just said, I guess we'll never know. And he walked off the stage. Like, well, we will just never know. Like, they could have sacked him. They could have just done this review. We don't actually know. You know what I mean? And we'll never know because it didn't happen that way. It's happened the way it's happened. Stephanie is asking, what is United's transfer budget for this window, or does it depend on sales from outgoings? So it does depend on sales from outgoings. I've always said that it's to me, I believe it's somewhere around 100 million starting, like base budget. I seen one or two reports that it was like a little bit under that. Somebody tried to say it was like 75 million plus, or 70 to 85 million. I still believe that it's 100 million flat, or somewhere like that, like around 100 million, maybe 120, and then player sales on top of that. So because while we don't have the greatest amount, right? While we don't have the greatest amount of money like maybe we had in the past, correct? I still think that 100 million as a base starting somewhere, plus player sales, that's good enough. Like, we can get away with that for sure, 100%. Uh, And what else? Anthony saying the radio silence is good for our club, and I love it that the bloody British press are now clueless as opposed to before. Yeah, I mean, there are always like good things. There's always positives and negatives, right? The negatives are obviously like we find it probably a little bit more annoying because we don't know what the hell is going on, and it seems like it's a lot of indecision, and it seems like it's taking a long time because we're not. I guess we're just used to getting fed like the hourly update, Um, but then again, we always complain like we don't want shit leaking from the club, and we don't like all this, extra PR that they used to do and all that shit. So it goes both ways. Axel is saying double blind review. We go full academic publication now. Yeah. Richard saying, I'm not saying I want him to go, but make up your mind. I mean, but this is what I was saying before. Maybe like some fans like now, like maybe they're doing this, there's all different types of possibilities. Maybe they're taking this long so people like Richard and me, who have been literally saying keep Eric Ten Hag, are literally just like, dude, Jesus Christ, just make a decision. Like, I almost don't care anymore. Just like, let's just get on with it. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking in a cynical aspect here. Maybe that's not the case. But I don't know. We'll find out. Anthony's saying that's why Liverpool gets things done well. Keeping it sealed is kind of killing the fans and making them anxious, but it's a good thing. Yeah. I guess it kind of seems like that, right? Because their things aren't as talked about as much. But I mean, United is a bigger club anyway. So we're just always discussed about way more than like almost every other club like anywhere in the world, right? So like, but yeah, it does play into their hand because it's like you hear nothing about Liverpool, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Liverpool did this deal, oh, Liverpool did that deal, oh, Liverpool about to do this deal, and you're like, what the hell? Like these guys are flying, you know what I mean? And meanwhile, we're getting fed like an update every hour of like, we are looking at this player, we are now considering this player, we are now thinking about putting in an offer for this player. We are in the we are in the motion of putting in an offer for this player. The offer has almost arrived to the player. Like we were getting like play-by-play updates. And then it just seems like we're taking like 72 years to do a deal, right? So Stephanie pointing out that we got 20 likes on the show. Absolutely, that's fantastic. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Greatly appreciate it. And if you subscribed, thank you. Stephanie actually pointing out that we got 21 likes now. So thank you again. That I think is the second highest likes that we've ever gotten on a live show. So that's absolutely fantastic. And you know, I'm really happy. So thank you to everybody that has been involved in this live show. I don't even know how long we've been live for. I assume it's quite some time. An hour and 40 minutes. We're probably gonna cut it here. I'm not just gonna end it abruptly, but we're probably gonna go and end because it's a little bit long, right? And it was never supposed to be this long, but it kind of exploded into something. And I never like to take the interaction in the show away from the beautiful people that come and watch and interact and join in the community. So I always keep it going, even though probably for YouTube things and quality purposes, it would probably be good to cut it at 45 minutes. But I'm here for the people, and you know, so I've let it run on. But one side is here saying latest on Ten Hag, Neves, and Olise. So we'll do a little rundown, I guess, before we get out of here. So this is the biggest, latest, I don't know why I said biggest, but latest on Erik Ten Hag. Literally just came out that from Fabrizio Romano that Manchester United have apparently had an intense weekend behind the scenes regarding the future of Erik Ten Hag. Many things are happening behind the scenes. He is not confirmed safe, and his situation still remains 50-50 as of today. That is from Fabrizio Romano, and that has literally just broke in the past like 5 minutes. That is the latest update. And I'm just going to check to see if we got anything else. So nothing from that point. Fabrizio has said, or he hasn't said, but he put out Luke Shaw quotes. And Luke Shaw was talking about his injuries and says it's kind of everyone's fault. He said, partly my fault, partly the medical staff. I think everyone would admit that. I felt something against Aston Villa and came off at halftime. The scan came back to me and there wasn't too much there, but I didn't train all week, then trained the day before the game. If the manager asks me to play, I'm never going to say no. I shouldn't have played. So, again, we get one of these famous Luke Shaw quotes that he seems to do every time he goes on England international duty. It's like he's given permission to just speak his mind. And, you know, pretty honest. Like, that's not really a PR response that Manchester United would probably want him to do. I mean, he's come out and he's pretty much just said it. Basically, it's all of our fault. He's like, I screwed up. The medical staff screwed up. He's like, probably Ten Hag screwed up a little bit. I mean, he asked me to play, but he should probably know, you know, in conjunction with, you know. So that, I mean, to be fair, I don't even think he's necessarily wrong. And that's why I'm trying to say, like, it is a little bit of everybody's fault involved. Like, the players should kind of know. The medical staff should definitely know. And the manager needs to kind of be aware of that as well. You know what I mean? So, but basically, we were talking about Neves. So, Neves, Manchester United submitted a bid for him early in the week, or it was like an informal bid through George Mendes, which is the agent for João Neves. He has a good relationship with Benfica, good relationship with Manchester United. He went to Benfica, told them something around 51 million. Benfica obviously denied that, rejected it. And now it has been said that Manchester United are going back in with an improved offer. And the offer is anywhere in the range of, let's see if I can find it again because I switched this out. And nobody knows. Where did it go? Right here. Here you go. So the offer, or we could raise the offer to anywhere from 75 million euros, which is 63.9 million pounds, up to anywhere in the range of 85 million euros and 72 million pounds. That's pretty much that João Neves update. So we're seriously linked with João Neves. There was a Branthwaite update. For anybody that came in late, Everton are holding out for 75 million. United don't want to pay that, and they might look at other options. We have a lot of different other options. Here's that update. Now the interesting about the Everton thing is that there was a report that came out the other day that basically said that they need to sell some players before the end of June 30th because they have to comply with the PSR. So they're not really in a position to be holding out for 75 million. Unless somebody comes in and makes it a bidding war or something like that. But they're actually the ones that don't have the power in here because they need to make sure that they're good for their own PSR and they have an actual deadline for it. We're just being cautious. We don't have like a deadline like that. We're just trying to make sure we're good. And stay out of that situation. They actually have a deadline where they need to hit and they like, they need to get that under control. So a lot of emojis in the chat. That's good to see. Stephanie keeping tracks of the likes and people watching. Love it. Absolutely love it. Sure. Everyone wants to play at the Euros and they sometimes delay injuries to be fully fit for the Championship Euros. Well, yeah, but to be fair to him, we did have the worst injury crisis like ever, right? So, I mean, he's not even wrong in there. Gray's calling out the intense weekend. Oh, they've done nothing. PR rubbish. Yeah. Apparently, it's so intense, but we've gotten no details on the intensity of like what's made it. Do you guys? Colin asking, do you guys do watch-alongs? So, it's something that I plan to do going forward for next season. I did one watch along. It was towards the end of the season. It was a little bit rough. It went okay, but like, it's sort of long and I wasn't used to it, right? But I did do it. It is something that I look forward to doing. I do watch the matches with my father. And I usually go somewhere and watch the match with him. So sometimes I'm not available, but I will look to incorporate them more often or when I can going forward next season. But we do live match reactions after the matches. So we do that after every match, guaranteed. I will be here and I will do a live with player ratings and we will cover the match for sure 100%. And I am working on trying to get like some sort of a live call-in type of thing where I could have you guys, if anybody ever wants to get involved and do a call-in. I'm trying to set that up. Again, give me some patience, please, because I am literally a one-man operating this thing. I know like all the other YouTube channels that are fantastic and great, they got like a whole team behind them. They got multiple people doing different things. I'm literally doing this by myself and I'm still learning. So, I'm trying to get there. It's a lot going on. But yeah, we do all sorts of things, but I will be looking to incorporate a lot more live watch-alongs. Hopefully you guys will join in on those because I would like that very much to watch a match with you guys and interact with the community going forward. So for sure. I don't know if there'll be like every single match of every single week, but I will I will do as many as I can. That's the promise I can tell you right now going forward. Axe Lord saying Shaw has thrown under the bus at least a few managers. I mean, yeah, he seems to do well. Listen, he's honest, right? I don't know, like if he. I mean, yeah, you could probably say he throws him. Anthony's leaving us. Anthony, good to have you with us here. Thank you for being involved. If you didn't subscribe, please subscribe and make sure you have the notifications on so you know when we go live, so we could have you back in here and be part of the chat, the fantastic chat. And Colin's saying it's a start. Yes. We are getting there. We are getting there. Thank you guys for joining. Absolutely fantastic. Listen, guys, I think it's gone on long enough. So we're gonna cut it here. We might be back tomorrow. Let's see what we get. I suck at this. I suck at the schedule thing, unfortunately. That's why I just prefer you guys to have the notifications on, because I can schedule the show at least and try and give you guys like a good 30 to an hour before the show actually starts, so you don't miss the show, because I suck with the schedule. But yeah, we could do a show tomorrow. It's Sunday. It's Sunday for us. So we could do a show. I'll do a show at some point, probably around the same time that this started. About 2 hours ago, whatever your time is, wherever you are in the world. We'll do a show around then. But I want to thank absolutely everybody that got involved here. I want to thank everybody that was watching that didn't get involved in the chat. I want to thank anybody that subscribed that I hadn't seen that subscribed. I want to thank everybody that's in the chat. Stephanie, Grace, Richard, who's a regular, Axe Lord, who's been here forever. One Side, Anthony, Ray was in here, Rajat from earlier. Anybody else that I missed? Everybody that was involved in the chat, you guys are fantastic. Thank you for keeping the show going. Without you, we got nothing. Without you, I am nothing. I am just one person. We are the community. You guys are just as important. I'm just here presenting, but you guys are the heartbeat of this channel. You keep the you keep it going. You keep it flowing. You give good points, good conversations. So if it wasn't for you guys, I would be a very lonely and boring show. So thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. And I will catch you guys on the next one. And just take care, and everybody have a good night and be safe and all that good stuff. And if we have anything major breaking, obviously we'll go live for that. So I'm sure you guys would be alerted to that as well. If it was major, like anything on Eric Ten Hag or something like that, if they make the decision, we'll be live immediately for that, no matter what time that is. So everybody have a fantastic morning, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you for smashing the like button if you smashed the like button. And like Stephanie said, go with the flow, like and subscribe. Absolutely, like, subscribe, notifications, very, very important. And we greatly appreciate it. So thank you guys. You guys have been fantastic today. I was not even expecting that. Honestly, you guys kind of blew me away with the amount of people that were watching today and the amount of likes. I was not expecting that at all. So thank you guys. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm gonna stop rambling on now. Have a good night, and I'll catch you guys later. All right. Thank you.